Louie C. the Mayor checking in. What is going on, my people? Listen, man, what a beautiful day in paradise. Everything looking positive, and we just got to keep trucking. And I promise you, everything is going to be okay. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. Right now, if you hit the notification button, it's all love, and you'll be notified when the podcast is on. So just hit this little notification button right here. And for those of y'all watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button right here. Bam. Thank you, FloridaKeysInjury.com. Lawyers for all accidents in the Keys. If you have an accident in a moped or car or bicycle, these boys at 302 Southern Street going to take care of you. You don't have to call nobody in Miami. Locals taking care of locals, so it's going to be all love. And Dr. B, Dr. Burrows, made me laugh today. Boy, that man got a new staff member, Dr. Pucci. Incredible. So we're going to talk to him about that on Friday. Very funny video. Advanced Urgent Care Key West Marathon and Key Largo. So make sure you go out there. We got the new plan now, $89. Affordable health care for insurance. So we got a really serious situation going on today, and we're going to talk about some serious stuff, and we're going to have some fun on the podcast. But let me tell you what, that ain't fun. I'm going to take my glasses off for this. You see this guy right here? I'm trying to take a good picture. See, that's number one, right? You see this character right here? Make sure we're in the screen right there so you got enough time. Listen, I'm going to tell you what my man Dump said. We ain't snitching, we telling. So we can't have these people come out here, especially these are local kids, and kill somebody out here. We don't do that around here. You got to get from around here or whatever. So we got all hands aboard, Sheriff's Department, all hands aboard Key West PD, and all street hitters looking for this guy, because we definitely don't condone this in any which way, shape, or form. So Marque, Marion Gomez, and Jose Luis Espinosa. One more time right here so we could be clear. That's one, and that's two. Make sure if you see these guys, now these guys ain't playing around. This is a serious situation. Don't try to be a hero. Call 911 if you see these guys. We got to get these guys like 2 minutes from now. And let's just, go back to paradise, because right now I'm not feeling very comfortable in paradise with these guys on the loose. So right about now, welcome to the program, Mr. Robert Lockwood. What is going on, sir? How's everything going today? Nice to have you on the program. I ain't seen you in a while. How's the family? How's everything?
Family's doing great, Good to see you too.
Nice.
In there.
Nice. This man and me, we've been at it for a long time, hitting conch baseball games. So all love right now. So we worldwide down here on the show and the podcast, and we keep it blood raw out here on this podcast. So those people have no idea about you. Can you give them a little history about yourself and your roots here in the Keys?
Sure. My name's Robert Lockwood. I grew up in Key West. Went to Gerald Adams HOB. Graduated Key West High in 1996.
Okay.
Went on University of Florida. Then went to law school and became an attorney. Now I'm an elected public defender. Just got reelected last month unopposed.
Congratulations.
So very happy about that.
Saved you a lot of work out there.
Another 4 years. Saved me a lot of work, and I do wish all the candidates during this time trying to campaign right now is a difficult thing, but
you're in line, and I got to tell you, 2020 it's going to be some serious campaigning across the board, both locally and on a national level. But if you hear in the local elections, it's going to be serious out there. And the main thing, like we say all the time, Robert, is we don't care who you vote for as long as you get out there and vote. And the supervisor election challenged me to try to get to 85%. So I'm a fast, furious 100 miles of running, trying to get 85% of the vote out. But, there's a lot of people that just don't vote, Robert, and, 18 to 30, they just don't vote. So, with all this crisis in the nation, we really have to get people out to vote. What you think?
You got to get out to vote, but I will give Monroe County one thing. They have a high voter percentage. Joyce Griffin has done an amazing job there, and we do have a great voter turnout. So the people do elect their choice here, and we get it out. 80, I think we were at 80% last time, and that's huge.
Yeah, she wanted me to go up to 85, so I'm ready for the challenge. And like I said, you just got to exercise that right to vote, and your vote will make a difference. There's elections that have been lost by one vote, and the person's wife didn't vote. So it's crazy stuff around here in Key West. So Robert, we're gonna get to the meats and potatoes right now, right?
All right.
So let me ask you a question. What made you run for public defender's office?
Well, after law school, and I had a mentor, and I became an intern at the state attorney's office in Tallahassee.
Nice.
Then got my first job in Broward County at the state attorney's office, and I always say I learned stuff that was invaluable, and that's what got my feet wet in the criminal justice field. But I just, I felt a connection. I felt more so if I went back home, I wanted to be able to help people. Our job as public defenders, assistant public defenders, all the time we're on the non-popular side of the criminal justice.
Tough job.
It's tough, and it's tough for the line attorneys. But I tell you what, a lot of times, although not popular, we focus a lot of times on mental health, substance abuse, and especially on a local level with families. Everybody has somebody that's been affected by mental health or substance abuse. And I take calls, our assistant public defenders field calls all day long. What can you do? How can you help my brother, sister, or cousin? And it gets emotional at times, and it's hard. It's not our clients. Yes, there are clients that are dangerous, that have committed violent crimes, but there's also the largest majority of our clients need help.
What I see is you got a job to do, and you got to do the best you can for your client, and that's basically how the nation is set up and the world is set up. So it's a hard job, and the main thing I'm going to talk about today too is knowing your rights, because this is a problem I think we got going on in nature. A lot of people don't know their rights, and information is power. Let me see who we got in. Judith Gonzalez, what's up, girl? Look, she checking in from the Advanced Urgent Care over there. Dr. Burrows and Dr. Pucci. So that's all love right there. Tangela Edwards, our wonderful producer behind the scenes. It's hard to make this thing happen out here. We at it nonstop. We just don't turn these lights on and everything go, easy. There's a lot of stuff happening. And I shout out to that boy, Anthony Colazo. That boy's serious on them pictures, on the photography tips. So thank you, sir, for everything that you do. So let me ask you this, Robert. So the nation is in crisis. What can we do better as citizens to stop the violence?
Well,
what can we do better as a nation to stop the violence and the crisis that we're in? Because we're in a bad spot right now.
I think it honestly, I don't know. I think it honestly goes back to what I just mentioned. I think a huge problem in our nation, be it local or be it statewide or be it nationwide, is mental health and mental health and substance abuse.
Gotcha.
We need to take funds, and we need to fund criminal justice reform, and we need to fund services and social services for the people that need it and are desperate need of it, so that this stuff doesn't blow up and continue between opioids, between different stuff.
And I want to make sure that people are clear what you're saying, so please project your voice there so we can get picked up on the speaker, because we're going to get into some stuff out here. And basically, you got a pen and paper. This will be the time to take some notes, because it's all love, and this is all good stuff we're going to talk about. But it's a lot of information, and like I said, the more stuff you know, the better it is when you face with this situation that you need to know what has happened. So, Robert, like I was telling you off camera, I've quizzed a lot of people, on a traffic stop. And most of the people out of 10 that I quiz, I'm getting 9 failures on this quiz we're about to take or whatever. So I just wanted to see if you could give the proper information on what to deal with when you have a traffic spot. Tanya, if we could get some of these invites out, that would be great. So like that, we can get some more people in here. And we're going to start the quiz right now. Okay, so basically, I'm going to pretend.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to pretend.
Don't try to trick me now.
No tricks. This is all about. This stuff happen every day. What I'm about to tell you. Right. So here's the quiz. So basically, concerning a traffic stop, right? So let's say you're driving in your car, and maybe you was distracted, and let's say you ran a stop sign, right? So I'm going to play the part of the police coming up to your window, right? So I'm gonna say, good afternoon, sir. My name is Officer Rock. I'm with the Key West PD. Back here on this street, you ran a stop sign. So can I please see your license and registration?
And law says that you do have to provide them with basic information. You have no choice, and you do hand over your driver's license at that time.
So see, everybody starts on a good positive.
Yeah, everyone's all
easy.
happy. Everything's going well.
All right. So now I got the license registration. Okay.
This is how the police reports read so far.
So I said, sit tight. Right now, I'll be right back with you. So then I go back to my car. I decided I'm going to issue you a citation. So I said, Mr. Lockwood, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to issue a citation for running a stop sign. You have three options. A, you could contest a ticket in court. You could pay the fine or go to traffic school. That's up to you. Can you please sign the citation here, and I'll give you the book.
You're required to sign the citation that the officer gives you, and failures to do so could be additional charges for yourself.
Here's where the quiz starts getting a little bit difficult. Okay, so now you signed it over to me or whatever, right? So everything is peaches and cream. So now, when you face with this, what do you do? So the next question is, Mr. Lockwood, is there anything illegal we need to know about in the vehicle?
Well, now's where it gets interesting. Now you've been issued a citation. So the best thing is, well, first of all, everybody's heard that you have the right to remain silent.
Yeah.
Is the best thing to do. But when you're asked that question, the best, if you don't feel comfortable just looking blank and staring, you're trying to end the traffic stop, you just ask him, am I free to leave? Are you done conducting your traffic stop upon me, and am I free to leave?
So do you recommend not to answer and just say, no, I'm not comfortable with you searching? Would that be appropriate? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the question. No, I mean, you certainly don't want to talk. You certainly don't want to explain. You certainly don't want to let a law enforcement officer search if he doesn't. And you can ask him, do you have probable cause to ask me this? But the biggest thing is you ask him, are you done with your traffic stop? Or am I free to leave? Or am I in custody?
My personal thing, what I tell people when they ask my opinion, this is just my opinion, I tell them that they should not consent to search, because anything could happen. You might have, your heart gave a ride to somebody, they might have dropped some substance in your car. So to avoid that situation, don't do it.
And when you do it, there's no reason not to be respectful. If they're being respectful, you pay respect back and you say, no, thank you. I don't want you to search my car. Am I free to leave?
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're almost done with the quiz. So now, basically, and this is I would say the advanced part of the quiz, right? So then the traffic stop has concluded, right? So you said that you don't consent to the search, right? So now if the officer said, just example, this is just an example, and the officer says, well, at this point, I'm going to have the canine dog come. They're preoccupied somewhere down the street, and should be here about 5 minutes, and we're gonna run the dog around the car. How the hell do you handle that?
Well, the dog sniffing. Well, first of all, you can't just drive away. You're at that point is very difficult parts of the law in dog sniffing cases, and amount of time to wait. A lot of new case laws. It's been case law doesn't come out in the favors of the defendants much,
right?
But lately, an officer cannot hold you any longer than it takes them to issue your citation and be done with the traffic stop. Your traffic stop was already completed when your citation was ended, and that's at that point is when you've been asked free to leave. If they say no, we're going to detain you longer. Now it's become an illegal detention, and once again, you don't fight it right there on the scene. You don't run. You don't fight back. You don't cuss. You go crazy.
Absolutely.
But you at least let it be known. You now have a legal defense, and then your defense attorney, whether it be a public defender or a private attorney, will have a legal issue that they have grounds that they can fight.
Okay. And basically, this is the way I understand it. So I'm glad that you explained it, because this is the way I understand it. So when they ask me, basically, if that happens to me, I've done everything. I'm not, doing anything wrong. I said the same thing like you said. We have to be courteous and, talk to people with some sense or whatever. We don't need to, raise voices or whatever. Just state, basically what you feel is going on there for the record, because for the most part, a lot of this stuff is going to be on the record if, there's a, camera on the officer. So
unfortunately, the example you give is a little too cut and dry. That's not what we get. The cases that we get and that we have to analyze and look at is, did the officer delay the
Right.
detention
Well, I'm gonna get to
on
that.
perfect?
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, what the law states, and what I understand, and you just basically confirmed is, once a traffic stop is concluded, I cannot be detained waiting for a K-9 unit to show up, because that's unlawful detainment. Therefore, when the traffic stop is done, I'm free to go.
You're free to go.
Is that correct?
That's it.
Okay, so what I tell them, if they insist, no, well, you're going to have to wait here, then you wait there or whatever. And then I say, what I tell them is, at this point, you just want to let it be known that you're originally being detained or whatever, and that you're going to take appropriate measures after that, but you just want to know, for the record, no problem, I'm going to stay here to let you do what you need to do, but I'm unlawfully being detained at this point, and I wanted to be noted for the record. Would you recommend that basically you get that
That's a
on the record?
That's a fair statement.
Okay.
I mean, it does not, certainly not necessary, and you certainly not. It's a very uncomfortable situation for a lot of
Big
people.
time.
Most people, have a problem remaining silent. I mean, it's hard not to say anything. It's hard not to say what you want to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Or in your eyes, defending yourself, and it's hard to then outwardly say, "No, I'm free to leave." You're illegally detained.
Exactly.
It's a hard thing to say.
You know this young lady right here?
I do.
Jill Craney. That's a character, huh?
Yeah.
Jill did great. She was on the show, and Jill out there serious fighting mosquitoes on a daily basis, make sure we don't get bit, because it's serious out there sometimes, So, Jill, thank you so much for tuning into the program. All love right now. Me and Craney go back way back, and shout out to Dave Black, a wonderful officer, Key West PD, do a lot of good things for the community.
Jill, she got reelected unopposed.
Jill Craney, they know not to run against Jill. They ain't gonna play with that girl. But Dave Black, that boy, he don't even like for me to say his name on camera, but sometimes I got to shut him out. Also, like I said, we got to get back to business. And right now, the keys, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, there's thousands of people, on the weekends. There's thousands more people coming, and you just got to be safe. The good news is that we have 0 hospitalizations right now, zero, none. Now, like we told you, me and Dr. Burrows, we're going to have more tests. More positive results. This is just the way it's going to be. So if you think that we're not going to get any more positive results, I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Today, we had some stuff going on downtown. I went down there. A lot of people are on point complying. People have their masks. If they don't have it on while they're outside, they have it hanging from their neck. So for the most part, people want to do good. So I was glad to see that. Okay, my next question, and thank you for that, because I think like when we get to the third phase of that quiz, like I was saying before, 9 out of 10 are failing this. They just don't know or whatever. And I explained to them that this is the law. You decide if you want to basically go into the situation where you want to be searched or not. But to me, I'm just giving you the law and your options, so you know what's going on. So this is great information. Can you explain to people that don't know what a no contest plea means?
The no contest plea is used a lot of times. You're not admitting guilt, and it's a way to not admit guilt. So a lot of times people use it if they have civil suit ramifications, and that can't be used against them because they're not technically admitting guilt at the time. So They plead no contest. They're not admitting denied. They're saying, I'm pleading because it's in my best interest. I'm pleading in my best interest.
Got you. Okay. Now this is very critical here, because this happens all the time, unfortunately. DUI stops. Okay. So my question to you is, when can police subject you to a sobriety test? What grounds do they have to have? How much probable cause? I guess I don't know if that's the right word. That do they have to basically have you do a sobriety test?
So the general rule of thumb is they pull you over for a traffic infraction. Because of your impairment, you've violated some traffic infraction. Either you're speeding, you ran a stop sign, those are the basic ones. You're sweeping, you're going in and out of lanes, You're out of lanes. So that's their first indication. And then they need stuff on top of that. They need, which is the classic smell of alcohol, bloodshot, glassy eyes, slurred speech. It's in every DUI arrest.
So any of those things,
yes, plus a traffic infraction will be. You can't do zero wrong. Them just pull you over because they thought you might be something wrong
Right.
with you, pull you over and smell alcohol. Well, they missed the first part of that. You had to have.
You have to go together.
Yeah, you have to go together.
Gotcha. So basically, let's say, for whatever reason, when you get pulled over, okay, basically you're a person like me, like I don't drink at all, whatever. And for some reason, they're saying that they want to do a sobriety test, which, could happen. I guess it could happen. You probably seen maybe some cases like this or whatever. And should you just not comply to the sobriety test? What would you recommend in that? When 1,000,000%, you ain't had a sip, you don't even drink at all. How do you handle that one? That's a pretty tough one.
That is certainly a tough one. If you 1,000,000% have not drank anything,
you don't drink. Like you don't even drink. Like me, I don't drink. I drink once every 6 years. I might have a sip or so.
I mean, it's hard to do scenarios that aren't done. Like to tell a lawyer that's used to reading police reports and going over a set of facts.
Right.
It's hard to do scenarios that don't really necessarily exist. But if you're 100% not drinking, I mean, you technically could ask them, why are you asking me to do this?
Okay.
And then they can explain, well, sir, you were swerving in and out of the road. Okay, so I violated a traffic infraction. What do you have on top of that gives you reasonable suspicion that I'm under DUI and asking for field sobriety test at that time? And it's a weird scenario because we don't see it at our office generally.
Right. But I think that's a good
You
approach.
could certainly ask them, why, just like anything else, why are you doing this? Why do you want me to submit to these field sobriety tests at this time?
Gotcha.
If all you have is a traffic
And
infraction.
if they insist that they want to do a sobriety test, if you refuse, that's automatic suspension. Is that how it works?
You can refuse a field sobriety test. It's not automatic suspension, but what they're probably going to do, they're going to follow up with submit to a breathalyzer. And a breathalyzer is an automatic suspension of your license.
Okay, so the breathalyzer, they could follow up and say do the breathalyzer.
That's correct.
Or whatever.
And
So
then
they can
that's
skip the first one.
Yes.
Okay, so if you say no, I'd rather not do it, and they can't make you.
They can't
do,
make you.
And if you do the sobriety one, and then you refuse, that's an automatic suspension
For the breathalyzer.
So let me ask you this. So then once again back to the 1,000,000%, 1,000,000% that you drank Pepsi or whatever that you ain't drank. At that point, would you go ahead and do it if in that scenario? What you think?
Don't do field sobrieties.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what.
Okay.
That's assuming that.
So
you're
your position is like the searchers, don't do it.
If you're intoxicated, don't do it. You don't. They can't force you. That's why they give you the option. They can't force you to do it. Don't do it if you're intoxicated.
Very interesting.
But having said that, if you're 1,000,000% scenario, go ahead and blow. Now it's interesting.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, it's interesting if you don't blow though, and they still have probable cause. Your eyes are dilated, things are going on. Your slurred speech. Then they do have the right to ask you for a urinalysis, and they go.
But if you don't blow and you stick to the black and white, I'm not gonna blow. Obviously, you can fight that later or whatever, and go from there because you could probably. If you're 1,000,000%, you got a really good chance. But these cases are one probably in a million that come up like this in your office.
We call it a double refusal.
Yeah.
And if somebody refuses both field sobrieties and the breathalyzer, we call it a double refusal, and it gives us the most leverage, and they're certainly the hardest cases to prosecute.
Nice.
Because it's the least amount of evidence. I mean, the Constitution gives you the right to remain silent. It gives you the right to not give the government more evidence against you than they already have. And that's a personal.
And listen, if y'all got some questions and Mr. Lockwood could answer them, come on in and ask these questions. It would be the time because the problem that I have is that you have to really get into the meats and potatoes. Like for example, when we talk about voting. I myself would not have any conversation with anybody that does not vote about politics. Do you vote? If the answer is no, me and you ain't got nothing to talk about. When you go vote, then we'll talk about it. Unless you can't because other situation. But if you just, talking big and you ain't voting big, there's no need for me to talk to. So we got some interesting things going around town. So the Sheraton Suite is no longer with us down on good old South Roosevelt Boulevard. So we got the Barberry Beach House, man. What a fabulous remodeling they did over there, man. Y'all got to go out there and see that. That property is awesome. So they just been there a couple months now with the new name and really good deals out there. And I'm glad to see that people going back in town and getting in hotels. But definitely, if you're coming into the Keys, Barberry Beach House, lovely, takes over the old Sheraton property right there on South Roosevelt Boulevard. And shout out to my man Milos, the GM there, doing big things. So, we got to get back to it, man. So have you been laying low, Rob? You been going out at all?
No,
just been laying low.
No.
Laying low?
I got a young son, 2 years old, laying low with the family and trying to stay safe. Our office is close to the public. The attorneys at our office, it's been amazing. Telecommunication, phone calls. We got videos in the jail. We've been able to go to jail at times when they're not on lockdown to visit our clients. Cases are going forward. Jury trials are suspended, unfortunately. So it is causing a rift and public defenders Florida-wide, the Florida Public Defender Association, where I'm a part of, where we're trying to figure out, a client can't get a trial. So trials are shut down. The courthouse is it's shut down for trials, but we're moving forward. The judges are being very, very reasonable and of working with us, setting what we need to set and helping out our clients. And the in-house treatments are open. We're getting a lot of clients the treatment that they need, getting them out of custody and getting them the help they need.
Shout out with my man C.O. Piscopo, 305 Miami, talking about the entertainment. We got Dolly Dimples, man, this girl from South Carolina with this new video, Wetty. Incredible. Y'all need to go on YouTube and check it out. Very good song. And C.O. Piscopo, them boys are on the studio out there, Robert, 24/7, 365. So let me ask you another question, because I'm going to try. Like I said, if you guys got any questions, come on in and let us know what you want to talk about, and we're going to answer questions, whatever you got. So let me ask you this. Are you required in the state of Florida to carry ID?
To carry ID? Well, you have to carry ID when you're driving.
No, for sure. I'm talking about just if I'm walking down the street.
No, and you certainly, if somebody stops you for not doing anything wrong, if they ask you for ID, you can refuse to speak to an officer, talk to them, or do whatever you want.
Okay, and like I said, we're on the program out here. We're just trying to give information out so people know what their rights are in case they get put in the situation. I'm 100% for anybody doing a good job with police. So this program is to give information out. So like that, if you have a situation, you know what your rights are. That's basically
a lot of our cases, unfortunately, start with legal consensual encounters that the person, our client, is agreeing to sit there and just answer every question and answer every demand. An officer is allowed to ask you, what's your name? They can ask you they can walk up to you, talk to you. They can't detain you. They can't threaten you. They can't force you and everything. But they can walk up to, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Gotcha. What's that in your bag?
This is stuff that happens on the street sometimes, unfortunately. So now I'm going to give you another example.
It's an investigative technique. They use it all the time.
I want you what I'm trying to avoid is escalations that go from a 1 to what we've seen in Atlanta and Minneapolis. This is what I'm trying to avoid or whatever. And a lot of it could be avoided with respect, mutual respect to police, back and forth. That goes both ways, and you knowing your rights or whatever, and being cooperative. But you have to, if you feel some type of way that your rights are being infringed on, you have to stand up for what I call injustice. Like me, I'll be honest with you, Robert, if I was on the scene there with George Floyd, I'm not sure I could be able to restrain with not doing nothing, as far as even going to a physical situation, because that's not split second. That's like an 8-minute thing. 8 minutes is an eternity or whatever. So it's tough. So now, how would you handle this? Okay, let's say you decided because you felt hungry and you was out in Stock Island, for example, and you wanted to go to the Thumb out there, and you didn't have no bicycle or no moped, and you just walking, going about your business, but it's 2:30 in the morning, the area is not the best area, and for whatever reason, a squadron pulls up to you and basically rolls down the window and said, hey, what's going on? What you doing? How would you handle that? What's the best way to handle that situation?
I love these scenarios.
This is true stuff that happens in the street. This happens in the street. This is where things get escalated sometimes.
I understand, and it's hard when you feel violated. And I understand, you just gotta be about your business, be respectful. Yes, you have the right to remain silent, but you can casually say, "I'm doing fine. I'm going to get something here. I'm going going to Tom Thumb. I mean, there's certainly no problem having a casual conversation.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And certainly we like to see excellence.
Here's where it gets a little tricky, because basically, if they ask me, if I'm walking and they ask me, "What you do?" I just said, "No, I'm just going over there to the Tum Tum to get me a soda or whatever." Then when you go to a different level, say, "Well, you have ID on you." This is where the things becomes kind of maybe scur into a problem, because I'm fine. It's not a care in the world. I could, if I want volunteer, I could give an ID, but I don't have to. But say because basically, I guess from the next point where the question where am I being detained? At that point, how the hell you handle that?
Am I being detained? Are you detaining me? Are you stopping me? But it's hard, because it's what I talked to. A casual encounter is legal, and it's used as an investigative technique. Right. The reason it's used is because it works. It works because somebody's then going to give over their ID. Somebody's then going to say, "Oh, I don't have anything in my backpack," when they might, and then now it's seen in plain view. And this is great stuff right here. All of our cases. This is why we get cases. We get cases because there's mistakes, and we look, was there, and did the police officer violate somebody's constitutional rights? Were their rights violated in the procedure that's happened? And a lot of times the case law, and it's very difficult for us to fight because of the Mongo. What's up, brother?
Tell Robert hi for me. He always took care of my mom.
I love his mom.
My mom was a character.
He's a good
guy. We talking serious business today, but we ain't.
I've had many a deep talks on this.
But see correct me, and I appreciate you, and trust me when I tell you, I ask these questions to basically start no stuff. You'll start no stuff, or won't be no stuff. You just said what I just said, that the people that you're getting don't know their goddamn rights. And what percentage of them people that you get basically consented, didn't know their rights out of 100%? What percentage you put on that?
I don't know about a percentage, but it's large. It's the cases we get. I mean, why do we get? I mean, it's not all, and there's not, there's violations are rare, but they happen, and that's why you get an attorney. Right. And then but it just goes back to a lot of our job is constitutional rights. Were their rights violated? If their rights weren't violated, we do our best to get the best results for the clients no matter what. Gotcha. But yes, you got to know your rights, and knowing your rights doesn't mean you have to escalate the situation.
Right, and like now that you're talking to me, like I learned this. I want to learn, and I'm always talking to people that now that you're an expert, obviously you're the head of public defender, so this is your job, right?
But we all learn every day. We learn. New cases come out, everything, life, society, everything. We all learn every day, and we do what we can to make it better.
Yeah, and we got Stock Island checking in. The phone I started ringing in Stock Island. Hey, listen, man, for real, we need to get these guys off the street. So if y'all know anything, forget all that stuff. We need to get these son of a guns off the street. I think they still in Key West, so let's make it happen. To be honest with you, Robert, if I'm putting myself in that equation based on what you just told me, first of all, I'm always cordial. I treat people like they treat me. I'm not trying to escalate a situation. So when they ask me a conversation, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going down the street to get a Pepsi. And then they said, well, do you have ID on you? And I said, well, at this point, I'm just going to go get a Pepsi. I know you're doing your job, but I'm just really trying to enjoy my night. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed and go get my Pepsi. You have a great night. I'll see you soon or whatever, because like you said, that might lead by you giving ID and no fault of your own to an escalation to a level 4 for no reason. And if you really don't know the law from A to Z, you're going to probably end up possibly jammed up, and you could get in a situation. You might be agitated and not having a good day, and then this might have set you off. To avoid all that, it's best to basically not be in it. But you could be walking, like I said, and not doing anything, and somebody could say that because, these are human beings too.
Happens all the time, all over the nation, and that's what the big push for criminal justice reform is.
Yeah. All right. So this guy said, get to the keys for vacation, leave on probation. Spring break, they learned it the hard way. This comment here, let me see. Alexandra, what is going on? 56, I don't know what that means. But thank you. Anybody got any questions? This will be the time. So I want to get into also, you have a little history with the Public Defender's Office. And you said you want to elaborate a little bit about that. So whatever you want to say, please do so, because I want to learn.
Well, just briefly, the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution is what gives you the right to the assistance of counsel. Prior to our Constitution and in many other places in the world, you don't have the right to counsel, and that's one of the great things about our country. But what's interesting and what people don't realize is assistance of counsel didn't mean you were guaranteed counsel. And assistance of counsel came in the Bill of Rights in 1791. It took almost 200 years. 1963 was when the Public Defender's Office was formed.
Really?
1963.
That's it? 1963?
Almost 200 years to guarantee an indigent person counsel. Because although our Constitution guarantees the assistance of counsel, it doesn't mean you are provided counsel. So in 1963, in Florida, changed the entire nation. A case in Florida, Gideon v. Wainwright, changed the entire nation. He was charged with theft of a bar. He went to trial. He asked for counsel. He was denied counsel. He couldn't afford counsel. He had to go to trial on his own, went to trial, lost, got sent to prison for 5 years.
Wow.
Had a handwritten petition to the United States Supreme Court that said his Sixth Amendment rights were violated. The Supreme Court agreed with him, guaranteed him counsel, guaranteed everyone counsel from that day forward, and he went to trial, got counsel, went to trial, was found not guilty, and that's what started it all. In Florida, 1963, for the entire nation, that guaranteed the right to counsel to anyone.
And that's a great, that's great facts. I didn't know anything about that. I'm shocked that 1963 it took that long or whatever. But here we are though in 2020, and we still going through a lot of things. And I believe that people, in order for change to happen, you got to change yourself, and we got to try some new, because this stuff is just not working. And I'll be honest with you, I get very emotional when I see people, businesses burned down and stuff like that. This ain't the way either. What should be happening is, if you want to do marches and basically tables and basically try to get people registered to vote at these rallies, this is an opportune time, because there's a lot of people there that maybe a lot of them not registered, and this would basically go to the greater good. Because like we know, Robert, if you have people in office that they don't support your views or whatever, you have the right to get them out of there. And then still, COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21, the minority rule in the world or whatever. But we have to get this knowledge, and you have to listen. Like when this man is talking about something, you must listen. A lot of people do a lot of talking. You must listen, and you'll learn stuff. Like today, I learned a whole bunch of stuff. I thank you for being on the program. I think this was very critical information, and I like the law, and I like to basically know what's going on, because I'm definitely not going to allow. I didn't allow it before this happened, and I damn sure ain't gonna start now. Any injustice I seen, regardless on what side it is, I'm a person that speak up. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna holler. I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna do something if I see it happen. There she is. There you go. There's your question, Rob. Can you read that right there? Let me get it down for you. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Lydia.
What's up, Lydia? She said, what % of cases go to trial in Monroe County as opposed to pleading out? And also for minor offenses, a bail is set too high.
Wow.
The cases going to trial and the pleading out, that's not only in Monroe County, but that's a nationwide trend that it's been going on for a long time. It is by far the #1 way that cases get resolved, and we're talking high 90%. It's very, very rare that cases make it all the way to trial, be it hard work and great work a lot of times, and most of the time hard work by us, the assistant public defenders, and getting the best resolution, and that it's too much to risk a lot of times. Like I said about criminal justice reform and things that the Florida Public Defenders Association certainly has been fighting a lot, is the mandatory minimums, and those put a big hammer lock on anything that on any negotiation, on any. They handcuff the judges from being able to do anything aside from that. So a lot of times the risk versus reward, a lot of times, unfortunately, going to jury trial is too much for our clients, and we certainly wish the system was a little better, and there could be more jury trials, but it's just not the case right now. It's I don't have exact percentage of it, but it's certainly in the high 90s.
And I think, in my opinion, not because I love you, I think that PDs get a bad rap because people think that because you have a PD, you're not going to get a good lawyer. Would you like to elaborate on that?
I would. There's certainly multiple nicknames, public pretender, and of the likes. But when I was a prosecutor in Broward, we used to basically play a game. If you were arrested, who would you hire? And if you got to pick two lawyers, and they always, out of one of the two, one would be a public defender. First of all, put our office up against any law firm in the Keys and anywhere else. We have the largest defense law firm in the Keys, and we have the most combined experience of any law firm in the Keys. And we know the judges, we know the system. They're in there fighting on the lines, fighting every day, hundreds, if not thousands of cases a year we're dealing with. And they're the frontline defense, and I always tell we get clients that get upset, and I hear that, and we hear that, and I take every call, every family member, and everything, and I explain to them. I said, my attorneys they're doing this for the right reasons. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they care. They care about people's rights, and they care about the people that they're representing. And yes, it's hard at times, and yes, we're not in the business of giving good news, unfortunately, all the time. But we try to give the best news we can. We try to help them out as much as we can. Lydia, we try to go to trial when it's appropriate, but a lot of times, the facts are against us, and so what is our option? Our option is to do the best for our client. We can't just go to trial, and but when a trial is there to be had, we certainly don't shy away. And our clients, that's their decision, their right to a trial, and they make the final decision in that matter.
We keeping the blood raw around here today, boy. It's some serious stuff, and I'm gonna go and look at this video on YouTube again because I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. But I'm glad that basically my information that I had, and I went over with you was accurate 1,000%. Because I'm still having debates, and they said no. Well, if this going this route, I'm just going to consent, and I just tell them my opinion. You do what you want. Never consent. 1,000,000%. I don't give a damn what it is. Not because you're a bad person. So all I can do is make a recommendation. But like I said, your department is doing great work out there. Let me ask you this last thing, right? Yeah, look, Lydia gave you the thumbs up. We had Lydia on here the other day.
Yes, I did.
Homecoming queen, 7 girls out there. So let me ask you this: for a young person that wants to get in law, okay, and that's what the way they want to go, what would you recommend that they do? Because to me, knowledge you can't gain it early enough. It's like conch baseball. We're gonna put that ball in the crib. I hope your boys are gonna be doing conch baseball. What would you recommend for a young person that's going for it?
Minus the times of Corona, I take calls. We get local high school students, local kids that went away to college that want to come back, and also local kids or non-local, but mostly local, that reach out to us, and I always say. They say, can I intern? I said, we don't have a structured program for you because you need a certified legal intern to be able to practice law, and there's a whole thing. But I said, come to our office, go to court with us, sit with an attorney, see what we do.
Oh, they can do that?
Oh, yeah.
I sit right at the table in the court?
Well, they just sit right behind.
Oh,
but they can't go in front of the bar, but they go with an attorney. The attorneys talk to them. We've had multiple students, high school and college and law school, come back. And because we're not a big office, Miami has a huge structured intern program, but you need to be a law student and a certified.
See, I didn't know you could do that.
I've got 2, unfortunately, waiting right now, but we're closed, and I can't take the responsibility of somebody right now to come into our office because my own employees aren't going to the office unless the courthouse is closed to visitors. But one
more question here from Ms. Lydia. So go ahead, Rob.
Yes, she asked, do we have an attorney to investigate cases? We don't have an attorney that does the investigation of the cases, but we have 2 investigators that work at the office that investigate the cases.
So they work for the public defender's
office? Yes, they work for the public defender's office, so they're not sworn law enforcement like a state attorney's investigator would, but we have, they're ex-law enforcement.
Do they work for a public defender, or are they contracted?
No, they work for our office.
Okay, full-time?
Yeah, and if there's anything over and above that, we have the option to use what's called due process funds to hire anything outside to investigate.
So listen, for those y'all going big in the law, like as soon as this thing is back to normal, I'll be, if I were y'all, I'll be contacting the public defender's office, because that's an incredible, if you get a jump start on doing that, you're going to be ahead of the game. Because as you know, like, I wasn't taught anything on promotion. I ain't have nobody to take me under their wing. I just learned it from the ground up on the streets of Hard Knocks or whatever. So if you get that jump, that is really serious, because you can learn in a month what might take you, a whole year to learn in college. It is no substitute for learning from the school of Hard Knocks. So you're right there and you learn a lot. So that is fabulous. I didn't even know that we had such a thing. So that is great, and I'm hoping we get this message out there.
I'm wide open. If they want to come 1 week, 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. They can come in. We get them in court. Obviously not during these times, but any other time. So
we're about to get, I told you, so you see the cat right here?
Yep.
At Gato West. Okay. So, like I done told you already, you make sure if you just got on here now, you better go rewind this, because this man, see me, I'm not an expert on the law. This man an expert. That quiz you took and you failed, I want you to revisit that again. Listen to what he said. Oh, don't listen. Me and you already talked about it. You ain't agreed. Maybe he'll change your mind. You see it for yourself on the video. Thank you all for tuning in. Louie C. the Mayor podcast tomorrow. We're going all the way in. WLW. DJ Slice out of Philly. DOS New York City. DJ Jack out of Marathon. CO Episcopal 305 Dade County. 7 o'clock. Man, we going hard tomorrow. And we debuting that wedding Dimples, Dolly Dimples, hot single on YouTube. So make sure y'all tune in. We love y'all. Shout out to FloridaKeysInjury.com. Pamela, look at me before I get out of here. Pamela, all love. And he got his too. So all love. Thank you for coming in.
If you see an assistant public defender, thank them. They have a hard job. It's a thankless job. Sure. They work hard, and they don't give much credit. All my staff, my office is amazing. They've been amazing through this COVID.
I appreciate you guys, and anybody, like you said, the best thing I heard you say is kind of equivalent to being a coach. The coaches coach out there, we win state championship. They don't get compensated 5 cents an hour. This profession with the PD, they don't pay a lot of money, but then people going out and doing it for the right thing to do. It's not because they're making, $7 million lawyer. That's not the case or whatever. There's only so much you can do in that office as far as pay wise, and you're going all the way, to the top. And I appreciate you, and anybody local in Key West doing positive. I applaud in any profession. And be nice to everybody. Be nice to police. Be nice to tourists. They're coming out here enjoying their vacation. So we thank y'all for being on the program. Shout out to FloridaKeysInjury.com. If you have an accident in a car, moped, or bicycle, make sure you go to FloridaKeysInjury.com. Local boys are taking care of you. And Dr. Burrows at the Advanced Urgent Care with a new doctor over there, Dr. Pushi. Key West Marathon in Key Largo. Have a great day. And like my man said, don't start no stuff. It ain't going to be no stuff. Ha!